السلام عليكم. Good evening.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. كيف باشمهندس؟
يا هلا بيك مهندس سيد، شو اخبارك؟ توكلنا على الله.
على بركة الله.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Today you are going to start for the most important section for us, which is calling for the life safety. And the life safety code, it's not only related to the mechanical, but it is also extended for the architect and the electrical. And if you remember the QCDD guidelines, they are talking about the life safety section, NFPA 101, in many areas, almost within 40% or 50% of the area where they are talking about the civil defense and requirements to comply with the code. They are mainly talking about the within 40%, 50% maybe point of the code. They are calling about the comply with NFPA's chapter number 7, which we are going to talk about right now. Chapter number 7, it's called for the life safety, and it is formally the building exit code organized from the work performed by the Committee on the Safety and the Life of NFPA in 1930. So they are talking mainly how to make the building in a safe way and securing the exits from the buildings as well. At first, the committee devoted its attention to study the notable fires involving loss of the life. The purpose for this one, in most standards or code devoted on the subject of emergency egress and exit, the emphasis will be on the escaping from the fire, how to escape from the fire and securing the people from the egress routing or from the escape routing to escape away from the building in a safe way, providing all the requirements to secure the safe journey to escape out from the buildings. Workplace fire, explosions kills approximately 300 and injury more than 5,000 workers each year. It's a big number. Annually, more than 75,000 workplace fires cost business more than 2.3 billion. And this is statistics as per the NFPA for the last editions. So let us say how to secure the building from the escape routing. It is not only for the fires, but it is also for explosions, earthquakes, smoke, and all of the danger for the buildings. The NFPA code, the purpose for this one and the advantage of the NFPA, why it is there, to provide the minimum requirements with due regards to the function of design, operational, and the maintenance of the building and the structure for safety to live from fire. So this one, it is giving you the minimum requirements. And many of the authorities and the Department of the Civil Defense in countries, they are asking for higher requirements, higher than the NFPA. So the NFPA is the minimum requirements, but we can find a higher specification or higher requirements from the civil defense and the authorities in the different countries. Here in Qatar, they are saying we are complying with NFPA, the latest edition for NFPA, and the QCDD, which is higher requirements. So if, for example, the NFPA is required 2-hour fire rated, but QCD, they are asking for 3-hour fire rated, we have to go for the QCDD 3-hour fire rated, for examples. But there is a minimum difference between NFPA and the civil defense. 99% you will see QCDD, they are following the NFPA, except for very, very few areas where they are required higher than the NFPA. The latest edition from the NFPA 101, it is the edition in 2018. And this is a cover, the shape or the cover of the NFPA 101 section. By the way, for the NFPA, you can buy the NFPA in full editions, or you can buy it chapter-wise. Okay. Let us go for the NFPA 13. This one is the most state-of-the-art of egress requirements, stair marking, emergency lighting. So it is talking about here the egress, securing the egress starting from the stair and the emergency lights, current accepted rules concerning the smoke barriers, special hazard protection, interior finishes, and we will talk about all of these points right now. Updated reference more than 50 codes, standards such as NEC, NFPA 13, installation of sprinkler, NFPA 72, the others. All of these sections, they are related for the life safety. But here, NFPA 101, it is mainly talking about the egress routing and escape routing. The other sections for NFPA 13 for the installations, NEC, NEC National Electric Code, which is NFPA 70 and the 72 for the fire alarm. All of these sections, they are related to the life safety, which is almost 50 codes and the standards. All of them, they are talking about the life safety. Some of them we talk about it already. NFPA 13, installation of the sprinklers, and the other are related to electrical, NEC for electrical codes, and NFPA 70 for the fire alarm systems. NFPA 101, it's more than 400 pages and the 43 chapters. To the contents of the 101, 400 pages almost, and the 43 chapters. As you noted that QCDD, they are talking about specific chapters within the NFPA 101 itself. Our chapters for study, it will be chapter number 4, general, chapter number 7, the means of egress, and the chapter 40 for the industrial occupancies, and section 40.2 means of egress requirements. So this is the main 3 areas where we are going to talk about the NFPA 101. What is the means of egress? The means of egress is that the escape routing where we can secure it for within the building, allowing the people to escape away from the building in a safe way. You can notice here, what does it mean, the area? 3 different areas. Number 1 and 2 and 3. From the working area or the living area or the potential area for escaping, number 1 is the first area next to the working area, which we call it exit access, to access and go outside through the escape routing. Number 2 is the exit from the building. Number 3 is the exit discharge or the assembly point outside the building. So it has 3 areas of definitions: exit access and the exit from the area, and the 3 is the exit discharge. Chapter number 4, which is general, it will talk about the general concept of the means of egress. 4.5.31, number of means of egress, obstructed egress, awareness of egress systems, and lighting. Do you remember for the QCDD, when we talk about the number of means of egress? You remember we said it could be only one exit with some conditions, or two, up to how many persons, and the three up to, and the four up to. Still remember? Oh, you need to read this figure. You have to know it by heart. Anyway, we will come to this one and we'll give you the figures and explain to you how the QCDDs are taken and extracting the figure from NFPA 101. Minimum number of egress is minimum 2, and this is the minimum number shall be provided in every building and shall be arranged to minimize the possibility that both might be rendered impassable by the same emergency conditions. So the minimum number of egress in anywhere is only 1, is 2. But QCDDs can accept one with certain conditions. The means of egress, it should be maintained all the time unobstructed. You shouldn't have any blockage, any lock within the area, any storage or furnitures, either it is movable furniture or loose furniture. It is not allowed to have any kind of furnitures within the route of egress. And the means of egress from all parts of the building shall be maintained free and unobstructed. No lock or fastening shall be permitted that prevent free escape from the inside of the building. So any kind of lock is not allowed. But we have an issue here. Many areas within the egress routing, like for example, for the corridors, for the malls or hotels, you have an area for the exit and the exit stairs. It is coming almost within the back of house area, where you have maintenance rooms, electrical rooms, etc. So these areas, you are not allowing any of the public to access the back of house area for the security and for control the movement of the public peoples within the buildings. To control it, for these opening doors going for the back of house area, many of the operators, they are putting access control and the card readers with the security keypads or card readers to allow only the permitted person to go inside, authorize the person and the permitted person to go inside for the back of house area. In this case, it is against and clashing with the NFPA. NFPA, they are saying any route of access, any doors should be unlocked. How to solve it? As per the NFPA, it is allowed to have locked area subject to, in case of fire, any lock, it has to be automatically released within the access doors and releasing all the access control and lock from the doors. How to apply it? Any access door have an access lock and the magnet lock or earth strike, etc. Card readers. It should have a control panel for the access control connected and interfaced with the fire alarm system. In case of fire, the fire alarm system giving an instruction for all access control panels to release immediately all the access and unlock all the doors within the building. So this one, how to maintain it. But as NFPA, it shouldn't be locked, but it is permitted under condition to be connected to a fire alarm system. But physical locking like this one, like lock, it is not allowed at all. Awareness of the Egress systems. You have to indicate clearly for the exit routing where it is indicated and how to reach the egress area and the escape routing within the building and the open space. So everywhere where you have an exit and escape routing, you have to clearly visible, or the route for every exit shall be continuously indicated, conspicuously indicated, which means for any exit door or exit routing, you have to indicate an exit sign, and it should be visible within area not within a distance of 30 meters. It has to be clearly indicated, and the text and the height, it has to be clearly shown. Okay, should be illuminated. You have to show the exit, and if it is with a direction, so you have to show to indicate exit signs and giving a directional for the exit. And we'll see right now what is the requirements for the NFPA for the exit routings and the directional arrows. Each means of egress in its entirety shall be arranged or marked so that the way to a place of safety is indicated in a clear manner, and it should be visible from a distance 30 meters. Life safety chapter. So this is the sections of number 4, which is a general and the awareness of the exits and the number of means of egress. And we will give you the tables. We'll show you tables which can calculate the number of egress depending on the occupancies as well. Moving further for chapter number 7, which is the core of this 101 chapter, which called for the means of egress, and it is consisting of 15 sections. First one, talking in general, what is the means of egress? Second, the components of the means of egress, capacity of means of egress, which depending on the number of occupants. Number 4, number of means of egress, how to calculate it, how to identify it. 5, arrangement of means of egress, where should be arranged within the building. The measurement of traveling distance to the exit, how to calculate the traveling distance and what will be the limit for the traveling distance. Do you still remember what is the limits for the traveling distance as per QCD? In case of not sprinkler or sprinklered, who have a good memory? You need to remember these figures, guys, to help you answering the questions within the exam. Otherwise, you have to know in which section you have to reach it. The purpose for this one, we are giving these sections not to explain in details what about the NFPA in total, but we are focusing about the areas where the exam for the QCD it is coming, and this one how to assess you to reach the correct answer and the correct information from the NFPA to answer the question of the QCD. Okay, so you should know how to get the information quickly, unless you remember it carefully. And as you see, the NFPA 101, it is a life safety, and it is talking not only about electrical or mechanical or architect. It is covering all the disciplines, and the question it is coming for every discipline: mechanical, firefighting, and the HVAC, or electrical or architect. All of them, they have the questions, heavy questions from the 101, because this is the mean of the purpose and the life safety to secure the people inside the buildings. Next, we will talk about the discharge from the exits, how to discharge the people from the exit of the building, and the illumination of means of egress, what will be the lux level required, and the illumination, how to distribute the illumination, what are the points we have to indicate the illumination and distribute it, the exit lighting, the emergency lighting. So I'll talk about the illumination, how to illuminate it and giving direction for the egress, and the emergency lighting in case of power failure. What is the specification for the emergency lighting? Marking means of egress with the direction and the arrows. What with the signage, the height of the text, the colors. A special provision for occupancy with a high hazardous content. A special provision for hazardous material. Mechanical equipment rooms and the boiler room, furnace rooms. Normally unoccupied building service equipment support area, and the occupant evacuation elevators. So this is a 15 sections within the chapter number 7 itself. So you can see how it is heavy and how it is covering all the requirements related to the means of egress. Let us go one by one. The exit access corridors, where the corridor used as an exit access shall be separate from other parts of the building by walls having not less than 1 hour fire resistance rating. Okay, so the corridors here, it has to be separate from all the other area of the building and secured, and the enclosure for this corridor, it has to be with a minimum 1 hour fire rated. The corridors could be part of the buildings. It could be within the circulation of the building, definitely. It doesn't mean that I have to make a separate corridor within the building and build a new corridor within the structure of the building. No, it is part of the building, but it has to be dedicated and separated from all other building parts. What does it mean? It shouldn't be running through an office area or tenancy or shops, etc. It has to be dedicated from the building, and it has to be circulated and maintained free for access, without any furniture, without any occupancies, without any lockage. And the walls, right and left for this area, it has to be with minimum 1 hour fire resistance rating. The enclosure for the exit shall not be used for any other purpose that has been potentially interfered to use it as an exit. Like this one, definitely it is not allowed to have a storage and putting a furniture, loose furniture or fixed furniture. It is not allowed at all. It has to be clear and free from any furniture and any obstacles kind of stopping the people from escaping. Interior walls or ceiling finish for the exit. Interior walls and ceiling finish shall be in accordance with section 10.2. What is this section 10.2 for the ceiling finish? The material applied directly to the wall and the ceiling in a total thickness is not more than 0.9 millimeter shall be exempted. Where carpet or carpet-like material not meeting the requirements of ASTM, flammability of furnished textile material is used. So even the carpets and the flooring material, it has to be fire resistant as well. This one in addition to the walls. What about the headroom, the height? The headroom for the new construction buildings, for any building under design and the new construction, the means of egress shall be designed and maintained to provide a headroom not less than 90 inch, with projection from the ceiling not less than 80 inch. So this one for the new construction buildings. What about all the buildings which already constructed and maybe the regulation on that time it is different? So they are allowing for the existing construction for the renewal of the civil defense license. It could be relaxed to the height not less than 48 inch and projection from the ceiling not less than 80 inch. Okay. Please, gentlemen, if you have any question, just stop me and ask the question. If I'm talking too very fast, just notify me. Another important point for the means of egress that you are maintaining the smooth movement and the services for the means of egress. What does it mean? The people during escaping and the case of fire, they have a fear, they are scared, they are panicked, and they are running. So as we are saying, you have to maintain the egress routing free from any obstacles, from any materials. As well, you have to maintain floors smooth and allowing people for easy running and escaping. Which means any change of elevation, any change of the levels, it has to be well indicated. The changes within 1/4 inch and ½ inch should be revealed 1 to 2, making smoothing. Any change exceeding ½ inch, you can imagine ½ inch, 2.5 centimeters or less, shall be considered a change in level. What does it mean, a change of level here? You have to treat it like a step and the changing of level. A changing of level, it means that by the definition, consider as a change of level, it means that you have to indicate a sign on the board or sign on the wall for this change, indicating there is a step. You have to provide a emergency lamp on the top of this one, so the people get attention that there is a change of the level by signage, by the lighting itself, and any change higher than this one shall be achieved by means of ramp or step. somehow hello, can you hear me, gentlemen? Looks like there is
Yes.
this
دلوقتي افضل يعني.
Yes, now we're hearing.
now it's okay.
Okay, I don't know that we lost connection and I keep talking. I don't know where we stopped. Which page is the last one? We talk about this one, clear?
Yeah, 7.1.
Yeah, we stop here.
Okay, we lost the connection here. Okay, so we'll continue. The other point for the means of egress, that all the furnishing and the decoration in means of egress, no furnishing or decoration or other objects that obstruct the exit and the access through to the exit, their form and visibility through off. What does it mean? Not allowed at all to have any furniture, any decoration, which can obstruct the exits itself and the access through it, the egress, and even the visibility through off, which means that the exit doors, it has to have a feasible window so that you can see through the exit doors itself. What about the door itself? The minimum door width, it has to be 32 inch in clear width. A clear width, not considering the frame and the hinges of the door. It has to be 32 inch clear. So this is the doors. So starting from this one, it is the first component from the means of egress. So the first one is the door itself. And definitely the door, as we said, 32 inch minimum. It should have a self closer, well indicated as an exit door to indicate this is the means of egress, this is the exit outgoing, and it should be locked all the time with a self closer. Some exceptions for the door width. If it is connected for a room which is less than 70 square feet, 7 meters square, it is not required to be accessible to a person with severe mobility shall not be less than 24-inch leaf width. So if it is room less than 7 meters, it is acceptable to be 24-inch instead of 32-inch. And the doors where serving a building or a person, thereof that is not required to be accessible to the person with a severe mobility impairment shall not be less than 28 inches door leaf width. So we have a disability and the mobility impairment, the door it has to be not less than 28. Another exception for the exit building shall not be less than 28-inch door leaf width. Okay. طب if you have an exit door have a double leaf, if it is two leaf, double leaf door, could be one leaf of these two double leaves, one leaf at least should be open in the exit routing, and it should have indication with a bar or sign that this leaf of the double door leaf, it is for exit, and the width of this leaf, it should be not less than 32 or 28 or 24 inch, etc. Okay, so this is for the exit doors. The doors itself, it should be side hinged or pivoted swing type, shall swing in the direction of travel. So it has to be side hinged from one side, or if it is a swing, it has to be with the direction of the traveling distance. Who are serving room or area with an occupancy load of 50 or more. Okay, so this one for the door. What about sliding doors? What about revivals doors, rotating doors? The exit routing and the escape routing, have you noticed before? It could be used the swing, hello? The sliding doors and the revivals door could be used within the escape routing, but with the conditions. What are the conditions for this one? A sliding door, it is moving horizontally. In case of escape, it has to open directly for the direction of the exit. So the condition for the NFPA 101 to have a sliding doors, that the sliding door, it has to be fire rated as well, with a minimum of 1 or 2 hour fire rating depending on the zones. Number 2, the sliding doors, it has to be equipped with double mechanism. In case of fire, the sliding door, it has to be with a double mechanism. It means that if you push the sliding doors by hand, it has to open like a swing doors and hinged doors, not sliding. So it will work like a normal hinged door, double leaf door, etc. Not a sliding, because in case of slides, the movement of the slides, it will be slow, and the people they are running as if, from the escape. So the sliding, it will not take an action quickly, and it is normally opened by force. So if it is force applied for the swing door, it has to stop moving horizontally, and it has to open like a swing door. These ones, you call it double mechanism. And for revival doors, even for revival doors, it has to be, in case of fire, it has to be the slides, the partitions at the revival doors, it has to be collected like a closed book and allowing the people to go through the revival's doors. If not, the revival doors, it should be equipped with side doors, hinged and single leaf doors, right and left, to be used for the escape routing. So this is the conditions for the egress doors. If it is swing doors, it should swing in the direction of the egress travel under either the following conditions. Where the door is used as an exit enclosures, and where the door serves a high hazard contents area. So these doors, swing door, could be considered within the traveling doors, opening in the direction of the egress, when it is used within the exit doors, and when it is serving high hazard contents area. The other components within the means of egress, the locks, latch, and the alarm devices. The door shall be arranged to be opened readily from the egress side whenever the building is occupied. So it has to be allowed to open in the direction of the escape and the egress routes when the building is occupied. Locks, if provided, like the access control, the magnet locks, the card readers, the PIN card opening and the locks, shall be required to use of a key, shall not require to use of a key, a tool, or special knowledge or effort for operational from the egress side. Which means any lock should not have a key, just a magnetic locks or card reader connected to the access control panel, and the access control panel, it will be reset completely for the buildings whenever there is a fire, and allowing the people to use the egress door. Exit, which we call the panic bar. The panic bar which is installed on the exit. It has to be one side of the door to open this one by maximum 15-pound force. The 15 pounds by the force bar to be tested. And this one, it is one of the points civil defense will, when they are coming for the building to inspect, they will inspect the forcing for to open the door, if it is connected to a staircase pressurization fans to measure the pressure. Okay. The stairs itself, the other component of the egress. So we talk about the door, the width of the door, dimension, and the force required, and the panic bar to be installed. By the way, for the inspection of QCD and the materials, when you are submitting for the QCD for the inspection, all of these components, it has to be certified by QCDD, which means all of these fire doors, it has to be from certified manufacturer and tested and having a certification for the fire rated, if it is 1 hour or 2 hour, etc. And the QCDD are certifying the door as a system, including the hinge and the locks and the handle, everything. So you have to provide for the egress doors and emergency door, whatever fire rated, to be certified from QCD, including the door closer, including the panic bars. Panic bars, it will be an accessory fixed to the door itself. So it is coming from a separate supplier. Okay. So what you have to do for this one, getting the certificates and installing the doors from a certified manufacturer with the fire rated certificates from the civil defense, and each door it should have a tag number and the serial number for each one from the manufacturer, and it is unique one. You have to submit it, all of these documents for the civil defense. So whenever you are submitting for the civil defense, and we'll talk about the stages of the submission, maybe today if we have the time, or Monday for the submissions, you have to include all the catalogs and the certification for all the equipment, the panic bar, the door frames, the door systems, including the hinge and the locks and the handles, the closures, etc. Everything you have to include it when you are submitting for the civil defense. Okay. So this is related to the doors. And the panic bar itself, it has to show in the catalogs the operation openable force. It should not exceed 15 pounds. The catalogs and the selection. And during the test, civil defense will ask you to apply a force test to check how much force it will be applied to open the panic bar. The stairs itself, if there is a variance in the levels, not exceed 3/16 inch in the depth of adjacent streets or the height of adjacent riser shall be prohibited to avoid any change of the levels. And the stairs itself, it should have an handrail in both sides, and the handrails wall mounted, and the other one fixed to the edge of the, and this one, the handrail itself, US continuation, doesn't allow any projection from this handrail, otherwise it will be engaged the closest from the guys who is running. So this one, it is not allowed at all. It has to be very tight and continuously connected. And if it is going for the wall, it has to be completely the handrail connected to the wall. So the design of the handrail shall be such that are no projection that might engage loose clothes from the people. New handrails shall be continuously graspable along their entire length. I remember one of the projects I have in the civil defense, when they came for the inspection, the designer and the manufacturer for the handrail doesn't consider it, and he take all of the handrails to fix it and adjust it and install it one more time. So the width so this is related to the stairs. Talking about the passageways, the width of the exit passageway shall be adequate to accommodate the engaged required capacity of all exits that will be discharged into. So how to calculate it? It is not required from mechanical engineer to see how to calculate the width and the occupancy from the corridors, etc. But you need to know where, if required, where is the table so I can get the calculation quickly. And I will share with you the table how to calculate the width of the escape routing and the number of exits as well. Capacity of the means of egress, it has to be adequate and calculated the area of the means of egress that can occupy the persons within the escape routing. So the total capacity of means of egress for any story or other occupied space shall be sufficient for the occupant loads. The occupant load shall not be than the number of persons determined by dividing the floor area by the occupied load factors. Actually, this one, it would be mainly for the architect, designer, or the life safety engineers to calculate the widths of the corridors and the number of occupants and how many people will be occupying the building. This will be related to the architect themselves. But for you as certified QCDD engineer, you should know about you should be aware about how to calculate it, what is the requirements, what are the factors, what does it mean of the load factors, and where it is presented within the NFPA 101. And I will share with you these tables for information. For industrial area, they are calculating 100 square feet per person. So 10 square meter for each person within the occupancy area. Number of means of egress. In general, the number of means of egress shall not less than 2, as we stated before. For the number of means of egress, occupant load more than 500 but less than 1,000, it is 3 egress routing. Occupant higher than 1,000, not less than 4. And by 500 each, it means that you have to add one more egress routing. Okay. So this is the area of NFPA where they are determining the number of egress. However, QCDD, they are relaxing the requirements to have one means of egress, especially for the apartment area where you have a single dwelling units and it is very close to the exit, not exceeding 10.7 meter length of the corridors, etc. Arrangement for the means of egress. It shall be located and the exit access arranged so that the exit is readily accessible at all times without any obstruction from the